Good morning, I'm Kenneth Moten.
And I'm Darla Miles. Here are the top 5 things you need to know this Tuesday. Number 1, the deadly storm stretching across 2,000 miles.
On the radar right now, you see ice and snow is the big threat in the Northeast from central Pennsylvania to southern New England. Snow and a glaze of ice is making travel treacherous. Boston is bracing for snow today, while New York City and Philadelphia get rain for the morning commute.
Meanwhile, at least 3 people have been killed after a string of possible tornadoes ripped across the South from Louisiana to Alabama. Dozens of homes have been damaged or destroyed. And a 7-year-old child was left in critical condition.
Number 2, the impeachment showdown coming to a head with a history-making vote set for tomorrow.
Moderate Democrats in districts won by President Trump got an earful at town halls from constituents on both sides of the issue. Many of those lawmakers say they'll vote to impeach the president, even if it means losing their seats in Congress.
Meanwhile, Senate Democrats are not backing down from their demand for key witnesses who can testify about why aid to Ukraine was withheld. But Senate Republicans are calling the shots.
And on to number 3, a terrifying crash in the Seattle area.
11 people were injured when a van crashed through the window of a discount store. 3 people were left in critical condition, including a toddler.
Police say the van was being used as a getaway vehicle for a shoplifter at the store. The driver and suspected shoplifter are under arrest.
Number 4, a decision by Boeing to suspend production of its 737 MAX jet is expected to ripple through the U.S. economy.
Boeing says it does not expect any layoffs, but analysts say the 900 companies that make parts for the plane will likely face job cuts.
The 737 MAX has been grounded since March after 2 deadly crashes, and it's taking longer than expected to get FAA approval for the plane to fly again. One industry analyst says that caught Boeing off guard.
What's really changed here is that the FAA finally hit Boeing upside the head with a 2x4 and said, stop making predictions here. We're going to do this on our timeline.
Boeing has been making changes to a flight control system linked to those 2 deadly crashes, which killed nearly 350 people.
And finally, number 5, Mariah Carey's holiday hit, All I Want for Christmas, has now hit number 1 for the very first time, which is 25 years after the song's release.
It soared to the top of the Billboard Hot 100 with a little help from a savvy PR campaign. This year, Carey kicked off the holiday season earlier than ever, posting an Instagram video right after Halloween.
Now, it also helped that a new cut of the music video was released with this never-before-seen footage.
All I want, we don't know the words, but we know that it's stuck in our head. Yep. So you won't ever forget this song. And also, you shouldn't forget the ABC News app for all the trending stories. Good morning. Welcome to It's Morning America. Great to have Darla Miles back from WABC.
Great to be back.
That song stuck in your head?
Still stuck in my head.
Mariah.
I have to look up the lyrics.
We maybe.
We have to.
No, that'll make it worse.
No, well, no.
It really will be stuck in
make
there.
it. We won't look as silly.
Well, that's true.
So it'll still be stuck in our heads, but we won't look as ridiculous as we've been looking all day.
Look, silly is what keeps me employed here at ABC.
It's what keeps us awake at these hours, right?
All right, let's get to that big story, the impeachment showdown in Washington coming to a head with a history-making vote set for tomorrow.
Moderate Democrats in districts won by President Trump got an earful at town halls from people on both sides of the issue. They say they will vote to impeach the president even if it means losing their seats in Congress. Now, meanwhile, over in the Senate, Democrats are doubling down on their demand for key witnesses.
Let's bring in ABC's Inez de la Cortara right there on Capitol Hill with the latest. Good morning, Inez.
Good morning, Kenneth and Darla. Lawmakers on the House Rules Committee are meeting this morning to figure out how long the floor debate should be before the full House votes on impeachment. And as the process in the House wraps up, lawmakers are now turning their focus to that impending Senate trial.
This morning, the House Rules Committee meeting for a marathon session to set the ground rules for this week's final full House vote on impeachment. This, as many moderate Democrats from Trump districts face backlash from both sides as they announce how they plan to vote. Congresswoman Elisa Slotkin getting both cheered and booed as she revealed she plans to vote yes.
I will be voting yes on obstruction of Congress.
In New Jersey, Congressman Jeff Van Drew will oppose impeachment. He's even planning to switch parties and become a Republican, causing most of his staff to resign. With impeachment expected to pass the House on Wednesday, the focus is now turning to a Senate trial. Democrats doubling down on their demand to hear from 4 witnesses the White House had blocked from testifying, including Acting Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney and former National Security Advisor John Bolton.
These people know better than anybody else the facts. There is no reason on God's green earth why they shouldn't be called and testify unless you're afraid of what they might say.
But Republicans are promising total coordination with the White House.
I am clearly made up my mind. I'm not trying to hide the fact that I have disdain for the accusations in the process, so I don't need any witnesses.
And Schumer is now set to meet with Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell to figure out the terms of that Senate trial. Schumer has said he would like the trial to start on the week of January 6th and for it to go for about 3 weeks or more. But ultimately, McConnell will have the final say, and he's indicated he would like a speedy Senate trial. Darla and Kenneth.
Yeah, the Republicans definitely got the power there in the Senate. Inez, thank you. We appreciate it. And a new ABC News poll out this morning shows 71% of Americans say President Trump should allow his top aides to testify in a Senate impeachment trial. Democrats want to hear from acting White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney and former National Security Advisor John Bolton, among others. But Republican senators have said they may not call any witnesses.
The poll also shows more than half of Americans, 55%, say President Trump was treated fairly in the House Intelligence and Judiciary Committee hearings, but only 17% of Republicans thought he was treated fairly.
The question of whether President Trump should be impeached and removed from office is largely unchanged since late October. Americans split 49% in favor of impeachment and removal.
The Trump administration is reportedly planning to send asylum seekers to Honduras, even if they're from another country. It's a move that would end their chances for applying for asylum here in the United States. The LA Times is reporting that Honduras signed an agreement with the Homeland Security Department similar to the deals reached with Guatemala and El Salvador, aimed at restricting migrants at the southern border. One congresswoman says the administration is jeopardizing lives by shipping asylum seekers to the same danger zones they're fleeing.
President Trump is threatening to boycott the official presidential debates next fall. He's criticizing the nonpartisan commission that sponsors the debates, saying he has several other options, including during the debates directly. He did not elaborate on what during the debates directly would entail.
Congress is considering a measure to raise the age to purchase tobacco to 21. It's part of an effort to keep vaping products out of the hands of young Americans.
The bipartisan legislation would be included in a massive government spending bill expected to pass this week. If approved, it would make it illegal for anyone under 21 to buy vape products, e-cigarettes, and traditional tobacco products amid growing concerns about health risk.
If you missed the deadline to enroll in Obamacare health coverage, you're getting some extra time. The government is extending the deadline to 3 a.m. Eastern Time Wednesday morning. The extension is because of problems with the website. One estimate says as many as 100,000 people may have had trouble with the site.
Now to a holiday shipping alert. 1 week before Christmas Eve, Amazon is now banning third-party sellers from using FedEx for ground shipping.
Many are concerned their packages will not get delivered in time, but experts say this is actually a good move and a good thing for consumers. This morning, potential speed bump for your holiday package deliveries. Beginning this week, Amazon is temporarily blocking third-party sellers from using FedEx Ground for Prime customers, citing a drop in delivery performance. Amazon says it fears orders will not arrive in time for Christmas based on the recent performance of FedEx Ground. FedEx says the decision impacts only a small number of shippers, but limits the options for those small businesses on some of the highest demand shipping days in history.
I think the biggest thing that Amazon's interested in here is coming up with their own shipping service. I really think Amazon is emerging as a competitor of sorts to FedEx and UPS and the Postal Service. A competitive market, though, is good for consumers because it drives prices down and improves service.
Meanwhile, this morning, a close call for UPS. The company is back up and running after a system outage in Houston. With only 1 week to go until Christmas Eve, experts say it's not too late to get free delivery, but the deadlines are quickly approaching. To arrive by Christmas, orders at Walmart, Target, and Best Buy must be placed by Friday. Macy's by noon Saturday. Amazon and Nordstrom by Sunday.
If you're willing to pay a lot extra, you could presumably ship something as late as the 23rd and get it in time for Christmas. That's going to cost you more, though, and you do run the risk of unforeseen delays, including weather.
And for procrastinators, apps like Shipped offer a free 2-week trial for members. It gets you free same-day delivery through Christmas Eve.
A North Carolina sheriff's deputy seen on camera slamming a middle school schooler to the ground has been fired.
The stunning incident happened Thursday. The deputy was working as a resource officer at Vance Middle School in Henderson. State investigators are determining whether to file criminal charges. The county sheriff says he sees no justification for the deputy's actions.
And this right here, that is liftoff for SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket blasting off from Cape Canaveral on Monday. The successful launch down there in Central Florida, Brevard County, deployed a new satellite that's expected to bring internet connection to isolated islands in the Pacific Ocean. The rocket's booster was able to land safely back on Earth, but attempts to recapture the nose cone upon re-entry failed. Come on, guys, it's not rocket science. Oh, wait.
It is rocket science.
It actually is.
It's rocket science. Well, coming up, more than $60 million in jewels stolen from a home on London's Billionaires Row, right near Kensington Palace. Was this an inside job?
But first, the waves of trash going viral. Where this video, this horrible, disgusting, disappointing, and sad video was taken, and what can be done after this.
Let's turn now to Iran, where protests over gas prices rocked the nation, and now Amnesty International says at least 300 people were killed in clashes with security forces.
Let's go across the pond to our foreign correspondent, Julia McFarland in the London Bureau. Julia, good morning. So this death toll is significantly higher than was previously reported. So why is this just coming out now?
Exactly. Kenneth, morning also to you, Darla. So Amnesty International previously estimated that the death toll in those few days of protests last month in Iran was around 200 and just over 200. As you say, this is now significantly higher than that. Amnesty now saying at least 304 people were killed. Let's backtrack a little. There was a week of protests in Iran last month after a sudden hike in gas subsidies caused the price of fuel to spike significantly. People started protesting across Iran in a number of towns and cities. And then the authorities suddenly and without warning pulled off the internet and phone data reception. They were trying to prevent people from sharing information and also possibly organizing protests. So while the country was in quite a significant blackout, a number of internet monitoring agencies said at one point less than 5% of the entire country was online. So groups like Amnesty International, a number of UN bodies as well, were trying to phone people, trying to get some kind of sense as to what was happening. And so it's been a bit of detective work trying to piece together how many protesters have been killed. The authorities in Tehran have not given their own statistics for what happened, although a couple of weeks ago they did acknowledge that security forces had shot and killed some protesters they described as rioters. But guys, I want to point you to something that Amnesty are saying. In particular, they say the majority of deaths in these protests were caused by fatal shots to the head, the heart, and other vital organs. They also mention that a 15-year-old boy in the city of Shiraz was shot and killed when he was passing protests on his way home from school.
Wow, thank you. Julia, I want to ask you about this video as well. It's been going viral on social media. It's in Durban, South Africa. You can see tons of plastic, of waste surfing the waves. And we've talked about problems of pollution in the ocean before, but obviously this is just disturbing. It takes your breath.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really upsetting to see, isn't it? Durban is, gosh, just looking at it just now, it really takes the breath away. Durban is South Africa's third largest city, and it's on the South African coastline. As you can see in this footage, hundreds of plastic bottles can be seen swilling around in the waves as they get to the beach there. The Daily Mail spoke to, or they quote the person who took this footage. He said that this is the result. He's a guy called Jim. He said, "This is the result of our big summer rains flushing out all the pollution that had built up on riverbanks and over our dry season, which is our winter. This happens time and time again, and our government are not dealing with it as the crisis that it is." I was just looking into this earlier, and earlier in the year, in April, there was a huge deluge of plastic that covered Durban, in particular the port of Durban. And there are some incredible photos of ships and boats docked at the port. And you cannot actually see the sea, guys, because it is just a solid mass of plastic debris. And it's, it just gives us a sense of a scale of the problem, the currents washing up an awful lot of plastic on those ports and in those areas in Durban. Now, of course, the ocean covers more than 2/3 of our planet, and it's not just climate change and the contribution to rising global temperatures. It's also things like incredible amounts of marine pollution, which are also causing the oceans to become even more acidic. And guys, that has such a huge impact on the creatures and the animals that live in the oceans and the coral. Huge impact on human life as well.
Julia, before we move on right quick, is there a possible even solution that they're offering in that area to clean that mess up?
Yeah, so when this was really in the spotlight in April, because there were a huge number of photos circulating around the ports and the sea lines, there were lots of people who shared images on social media, and hundreds of volunteers offered to go and pick up by hand a lot of the plastic bottles. A lot of community action was sparked as a result of these photos on social media. And guys, that's something that I see as well. Also in Indonesia, there's huge community effort and volunteering effort in Indonesia, which is one of the world's biggest marine plastic polluters.
Okay, so let's move on to Singapore, where former President Obama, making headlines, he shared a powerful message praising women, saying, quote, if every nation on earth was run by women. That's a horrible impression of former President Obama. But he said
bring it back to Kenneth.
He said that you would see a significant improvement across the board. What else did the former president have to say, Julia?
I mean, Kenneth, this is pretty sensible. I don't know why it's causing headlines. I have to agree with the man. So he was speaking at a private event on leadership, and this is what he had to say. He said that while he was in office, he had mused about what a world run by women would look like. He said, "Now, women, I just want you to know, you're not perfect, but what I can say pretty indisputably is that you're better than us." Well, who's going to argue with him on that one? He said that, "I'm absolutely confident that for 2 years, if every nation on earth was run by women, you would see a significant improvement across the board on just about everything, living standards and outcomes. If you look at the world and look at the problems, it's usually old people, usually old men not getting out of the way," he said. So yeah, I mean, this topic of women in leadership is quite timely. We were speaking only last week about Finland, about how now the world's youngest prime minister is just 35 years of age. And she runs a government of 5 political parties, all run by women. So let's take a look at Finland and see. Yeah. Finland, by the way, is always in the top 5 of quality of life tables around the world. So let's see how they do with women at the helm.
Yeah, let's see. We'll see how many more women will be elected.
And thank you again for that quote. I really didn't capture the essence of it because you didn't do a Barack Obama
Happy
imitation.
To lay it on thick. Yeah.
But yes, no. Hey, Julia, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Let's check our notifications now, starting with a new frontrunner in our best ugly Christmas sweater contest. This little girl here, her mom really went all out and had that ugly sweater made. It's literally a very interactive, high-tech, I think, sweater, ugly sweater with Santa coming down the chimney. There's a fireplace there. Good job, Mom.
Great job. Next to more Christmas spirit, these diners were surprising their waitress. They surprised her with a huge tip.
Yeah, at the IHOP there, $1,200 here in New York. This
Patterson,
happened.
New Jersey.
Oh, Patterson,
across
New Jersey.
River, yep.
Across the way there. I just think this is so incredible to see this, especially during the holiday season. She wanted to actually give the money back.
She was surprised. She said, "Wait a minute.
No,
this is too much money.
Too much tip."
Like, no, this is really
we
for you.
saw something similar yesterday. We reported on yesterday at a Bob Evans in Ohio where they gave $1,400. And so I feel like we're going to see more of this.
I would love to see more of this every day. Not a problem. We'll do that every day.
Well, next up, check out this video of a bike race in Belgium where a dog started chasing the cyclists. Sometimes you see those dogs getting down the race courses and causing a little bit of a havoc, but This one right here, I think they were able to get the dog off pretty quickly.
But he's having fun. You know, he's having a good time.
But he's in the way. No, he's messing with the times.
But he got to look at I think there's a leash that he's dragging. So he got away from his owner. So he wanted to, he's like, look, I can hang with these guys. I'm going to run too.
Even somebody tries to get in there and capture the dog. Nope, dog's gone. I'm going to run with you guys. Hey, and then some heartwarming news this morning. Watch this. A man skating on a frozen lake comes across a stranded deer. Not just one, but it was actually 3 deer. Deer's assist. Deer is. No, I'm just kidding. Deer.
Well, here's the thing. Like, the fact that he was on the lake himself.
Right.
To me, that's already one issue.
Yeah.
Like, he was just hanging out on the lake.
Just hanging out on the lake.
I don't know if he was ice skating. I don't know.
I would be, I'm always, obviously the people who, I would like to think the people who are in these areas where the lakes freeze over, bodies of water freeze over, they know where they can skate, where they can't.
Yeah.
And he was skating, he saw the deer, got a rope, kind of pulled them to safety there.
Wait a minute, there are 2 deer on this.
Yeah,
I didn't realize
there were a total of 3. And he got the first one, and then he goes, you know what? This is not efficient enough time-wise, so I'm going to get the 2 in 1.
Well, you know what? Time is like sensitive when you're on ice like that, so I'm really glad that they rescued those deer. All right, so now on to that multi-million-dollar heist. Police, they're looking for 3 burglars who swiped jewelry from the home of a Formula One racing heiress. Now, this is just hours after she left for vacation.
Yeah, they're looking into whether her social media posts played a role in the heist. Well, Gans has the latest.
Tamara Ecclestone, the heiress to the Formula One fortune, shares a lot on Instagram. Nights out, movie premieres. But this morning, police are wondering if this photo showing Ecclestone's daughter on the steps of a private plane tipped off would-be thieves that Ecclestone and her family were going out of town for the holidays, allowing the intruders to carry out a heist in her London home on Friday night, making off with $65 million worth of jewelry, like the ring on her hand in this photo, or the watches and bracelets in this one, both from her public Instagram account. Thieves reportedly in the mansion, which is just blocks from Kensington Palace where Prince William and his family live, for just under an hour. The suspects, 3 men, making their way through the home's 57 rooms, cracking at least 2 safes, before being discovered by on-site security. By the time the police were even called, the suspects were gone. A spokesperson for the Ecclestone family saying in a statement, Tamara and family are well, but obviously angry and shaken by the incident. And this morning, Tamara is back on Instagram, posting a Bible verse that appears to be a response to the robbery. For there is nothing hidden that will not be disclosed, and nothing concealed that will not be known or brought out into the open.
Thank you, Will. And as for her father, former Formula One boss Bernie Ecclestone, he said just yesterday, considering all the security at the house and around the neighborhood, he thinks the robbery was an inside job.
Well, you know, they went through 57 rooms in under an hour. So someone had to know exactly where they were going through, because I think we'll also mention they had 57 safes in the home.
Yep.
I mean, 57 rooms, rather, and they found 2 safes. So just think of one room. That's a lot of territory to cover.
Yeah, it's an interesting case, and that brings us to the question of the day. Do you post vacation photos immediately, or do you wait until you get home? What do you do?
I absolutely never 100% of the time post until I get home.
I will admit that years and years and years ago, I did post, and someone immediately called me out and was like, somebody can go and like burglarize your home now. And I was like, oh, yeah, you're right.
Well, I think that's the thing, just being in the news business. We're always issuing these warnings. Right. So they're top of mind for me. So I've never, ever, ever. One
time I posted, and I was like, I'm on vacation. And I said, but don't go to my house because there's a big dog and there's an electric fence. And
I'm sure that worked.
Yeah,
I'm sure that really worked.
Yeah, all my stuff was there.
It did work,
back.
yeah.
All right, well, let us know what you think about that question of the day. Tweet us, comment section, ABC News Live. You know the drill. All right, coming up, we'll tell you what to watch out for on this Tuesday, December 17th.
Plus, the Heisman winner's speech already making a big difference in his hometown. How Joe Burrow inspired a wave of giving after this.
Here's what to watch out for today. The House Rules Committee is set to meet in what is expected to be a marathon session to set the parameters for Wednesday's impeachment debate in the full House of Representatives.
Meanwhile, President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump are scheduled to welcome the President and First Lady of Guatemala to the White House for meetings before participating in a holiday reception.
Prosecutors are expected in court seeking to revoke the bail of Rudy Giuliani associate Lev Parnas, saying he poses an extreme flight risk. The claimed partner misled authorities about his finances, failing to point out he received $1 million in September from an account originating in Russia. Plus, don't forget to tune into The Debrief for an update on all our top stories in the briefing room for a breakdown of the latest headlines in politics. And finally from us on this Tuesday morning, winning the Heisman Trophy put the spotlight on LSU's Joe Burrow.
And Burrow's new stature is shining a light on hunger. The Ohio native talked about poverty in his home state when he was named college football's top player on Saturday. Since then, multiple fundraisers have collected more than $300,000 for a food pantry in his home county of Athens, which is the poorest county in Ohio.
There's so many people there that don't have a lot, and I'm up here for all those kids in Athens and in Athens County that, you know, go home to not a lot of food on the table, hungry after school. And you guys can be up here too.
The head of the Athens County Food Pantry says the facility has been overwhelmed with the financial support.
Mr. Burrow, they're still thinking about his community, still doing a lot. He knows that he's in a good position, has a good platform, and he's using it.
He is, and you know, he even was very emotional when he talked about kids going home from school and not having any food when they come home. So clearly he was affected by it. He's affected by his his neighbors there. So I think it's going to go a long way, and I think this is just the beginning of the great things he's going to do since winning the Heisman.
The food pantry has helped a lot of families, and it's going to help a lot more because they're getting a lot of aid, not just from around the state, but from outside of Ohio as well. So good job and well done by him.
Also, 2 wins.
Yes.
2 wins, Heisman, and a win for hunger.
And we've had a win here at It's Morning America with having Darla Miles here the past couple of days. It's been great to have you, friend.
It's been great to be here.
Can't wait to have you back.
I look forward to coming back. You guys are taking great care of me. And you're giving me the tricks of the trade on how to get some rest.
Oh, yes. And we're going to get some rest right now. So thank you for joining us. Have a great day. We'll see you later.
Take care. Bye.